And one time for everybody that is live on the Zoom, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me how you're doing today. Happy Monday, December 19th, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, December 19th. The year is over. It is a done deal. We might as well be operating in 2024, 23. What year are we? 22. So we're going to 2023. Awesome, awesome. All right, so if you are here, you're live, definitely want you to check in. Say what's up to the people. And if you're somewhere you can't talk, then just put it in the chat. Let it be known that you can't really talk. And we're going to jump into it. Now, here's one of the things that's going to be, we want to make sure that we make this clear across the board. All right. One of the things we want to make sure across the board is this call here is to talk to brokers. We're going to do everything. We're going to go over everything, what you should be saying, how you should be saying it, what's important to say, how to make sure the relationship is being built correctly when you're dealing with brokers, and also that you are building relationships. This is not a transactional business. Multifamily, that's not how it works. It is solely based off of relationships. And these broker calls is how you want to be able to go over it. And so that's one of the things that we are going to dive deeper in. And I want to make sure that you guys are able to understand that and hear that. And so if you are live on the Zoom, unmute yourself and let me know that you are here. So I make sure we're good on that, or put some fires in the chat for me to make sure that everything's coming in good, and we will get started.
You know I'm here. You know I'm here, Eddie.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Awesome. Crystal with the fire. Perfect, perfect. I know Peter is not typically.
I'm here.
Are used to seeing Peter, billionaire Pete, I like to call him. He is currently traveling, and he was like, there's no way I'm missing it because I'm going to be making broker calls from the car. So I might as well just be on live with you guys, right? That is a man that is convinced beyond repair that he has to get the work done, and that's what it takes, right? So you'll hear him chime in from time to time, maybe some noise in the background, but that's what happens when you're making, multi-million-dollar calls to brokers and you're on the road. It's what we do, right? It's what successful entrepreneurs do. So if you are one of the individuals that are here in the Zoom chat live with us, let me know if you are ready and willing to make phone calls to brokers today, or if you have an appointment with a broker today, by just raising your hand. You should be able to raise your hand to give me a heads up. Let me know that that's what you got going on. So make sure that you set up. Shout out to my guy, James. What's up, bro? Coming in. All right. Get these other people in here coming in. All right, perfect. All right, so we got Peter got a call already, ready to go on deck. Love it. Now, Peter, is your call at a scheduled time, or is just a call you have to make?
Yeah, no, I don't. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to get anything scheduled today. I was trying to do that. We had a little mishap on the road here today, so no big deal. But a piece of my front bumper decided to disconnect, so I had to make a side of the road repair. So we're a little, but we got some phone number. We got some, we'll see. We'll make some phone calls. And if we get anybody live, we'll get your attention and hop on. Okay,
perfect. So we'll rock out like that. Sorry about your bumper, but the line is whatever can go wrong and will go wrong, right? We just got to make sure that we still do what we need done. All right, so let's jump into it. I want to make sure that I point something out, right? We got to get on this right here. Ryan and I was actually talking about it a little bit earlier. It was cracking up. And I called this. I said this would happen, and it did. And it's not a bad thing. It's just you need to be aware of how to maneuver. So let me show you guys this real quick. Okay, so this is Daniel. Daniel is a broker or agent. The streets is now calling him Damn Daniel. And if you know where that's from, for a couple of, might have been like 2-3 years ago, Daniel with the white Nikes or the white shoes. Shout out to you. But yes, so Daniel jumps on Twitter. This was 4 days ago. Oh, actually, no, this was on the 13th. I saw this a couple of days ago. And he says, lately, all of my LoopNet leads have been Pace Morby students. Thinking they can do creative financing on my multifamily listings, period. I hate it, period. I absolutely love this. This is a beautiful thing. And then he writes, leads. Hi, I would like to put $20K down on your $1.5 million listing, 4% interest only payments with a balloon payment at year 7. Me hangs up the phone. Now, this is a reality that has to take place, right? Now, further down in the thing, he talks about saying, and well, actually another broker right here, Michael Thompson, he talks about how he's telling people like, hey, I'm telling them 50% down, and he goes into some craziness sort of like that. Now, I really want to draw this out and make this something that we pay attention to, because 2 things are happening here. One, I can promise you, let's take this person, whoever this person was, whoever that person was that called Daniel, created the cardinal sin, okay? They did not try to build a relationship with Daniel. They got on and they treated Daniel like they would treat a regular single family lead. See, a single family homeowner or real estate agent is very transactional based, right? There's only really one time you're going to deal with this person, right? Maybe if that person has more than one, property, you might buy 6 or 7 or 8 from them or something like that. Like last week at our event, we had like 3 buyers there that said the same thing. Like, hey, I brought 6 properties from one seller, right? But that's not every seller, okay? Majority of sellers only have one home to sell you. All right, so it's very transactional based. Now, when it is multifamily and you're dealing with the brokers, they have their hands in several different deals at any given time. And that's how they built their business, right? Their business is based off of building relationships, putting themselves out there. People know them for what they do, so they bring them deals so that they can sell it for them. So the number one rule that you cannot afford to do if you are getting into this space is you have to, okay? You have to learn how to build relationships with the brokers that you're calling, okay? You can't afford, you just can't afford to call a broker and somewhere in the first, like script of words that you're saying, that you simply just go off and you're like, all right, boom, here I go, right? It can't happen that way. It won't make sense for it to happen that way. And so you have to do a better job of, how you doing what you're doing. All right. Now, where did they go wrong? Secondly, is this. They should have, so here's what I'll say. Do not treat all deals the same, because they're not, okay? You can't be calling every deal thinking this is going to be a easy creative financing deal just because you can make your numbers work on the deal. Okay, a creative finance deal can always be worked to the benefit of the person that is manipulating the numbers to make it make sense. You have to understand the mindset of the person who's selling the deal to see if what you're offering makes sense. So let's take a second to go into creative financing and subject tos and the whole methodology behind it. If even whether you're doing it on a multifamily side or single family side, what you have to do, okay, what you have to do is you have to make sure that your offer that you are giving to the broker or seller, whatever, okay, that offer, you need to make sure that that offer is it is the last offer that they have available. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So for example, if I'm in the single family space and I'm talking to someone and I tell them like, hey, you know, I have this particular deal, you know, what do you think, this and the third, and they're trying to sell me a deal, I'm normally going to say, well, why don't you list it, right? And then I'm going to say, well, why don't you sell it, you know, on you know, if you don't sell it on market, why don't you do for sell by owner, right? Like, why not do, you know, all these other things that will probably get you more money than I would be willing to pay you? Because I'm looking to do this deal as a cash buyer, which means I'm going to be, you know, I'm not going to be the highest price, right? I want to say that. Now, some people may think like, no, that's horrible. You don't want to say that's going to mess up the whatever, whatever. But hear me out. The reason why I want to say that is because I want to psychologically take my seller through all of the things that they would possibly have gone through to see if that's the better idea. I don't want them off Jump Street thinking that selling their home creatively is the best option. I don't buy properties that way. I don't recommend people buy properties that way. The reason why is because if you do it that way, what's going to happen is as soon as they hear about another tried and trusted method of selling their home, like dealing with an agent or selling their home by themselves, or they have their cousin say, listen, I know somebody who's going to buy a house. As soon as that happens, guess what? Your creative finance thing that you pitched them, which was like the first or second time they ever heard about it, but they weren't really sure anyway. As soon as that happens, they are no longer looking to do business with you, and you end up in the ghost zone. So for those of you who can't figure out, hey, why is it my seller not returning my phone calls? That's where you're at. You've been ghosted. What you want to do is you want to go through all the other aspects of options, right? Like Frederick is saying over on YouTube, go for no. Go for all the options that they can have. Okay, I do it so good now. I have sellers saying, do you even want the house? Of course I want the house, but I want to make sure you are getting the best chance that you can possibly get to make the most money. Now, when we get through the whole process of it, then I would say, well, you know what? I could possibly pay more, or at least very, very close to what you're asking for, if you're willing to do terms. I don't know for sure. Let me take a look at something. Is that something that would interest you? If I can figure a way to pay you more, would you be willing to do terms? And they're like, well, what's terms? And now they're more receptive. They're open to it. We can make things happen. Now, here's the thing. In multifamily, it should work the same. You cannot go to a broker and be like, hey, look, I want to give you X, Y, and Z. You have to first build the relationship. Second, find out what's the situation with the seller to say, hey, listen, we can possibly make an offer on your property. I know they wanted 1 million, but it looks like we are somewhere in the ballpark of like 800,000, 900,000. And I know that's probably not going to work for them. What do you think? Do you think, broker Daniel, do you think that would work, or am I just shooting in the dark here? course, he's probably gonna say, no, that won't work. They won't accept that. You know, lowest they'll go is whatever, whatever. So, okay, well, what if we did something creative? You think they would be open to a seller carryback? Because then I could pay them the 1.5 that they're asking for, because I can maneuver it differently to make things work, right? That's how you want to pitch creative terms to your seller or your broker to make it happen, okay? They'll be more receptive when it comes to that and make things work, all right? Now, I want to be able to get some take on it from individuals who have spoken to brokers before, so that you guys can get their feedback on how they're building relationships quickly. Now, let me make sure we're clear on this word, and we're going to get started on this. I just want to give the backdrop so that everybody's is armed with what they need to start making these calls, make it happen, okay? So to make sure that we're clear, when I say building a relationship, I mean that, building a relationship, okay? I'm not talking about, you know, you need to get on the phone, and as soon as you spend 5 minutes with these brokers, they just love you and they're coming over for Christmas, and you know their kid's name, they know your kid's name, and it's like this amazing, magical relationship. No, I'm saying building a relationship. It's gonna take a bunch of calls and a bunch of conversations to get to the point that you want that relationship to flourish, which, just so that you know, how do you know when a relationship with a broker has fully flourished? It is when that broker is sending you off-market deals without you even asking, right? When they're sending you deals like, hey, Chris, I got this deal, man. I know it's not really what we talked about before, but I want to send it your way to see if you and your team would be interested in it. That's when you know you've built a really good relationship, all right? And you only need, you know, 4 or 5 brokers like that, right? Like, James, you get 4 or 5 brokers that got you on speed dial for any of the deals that they got coming, dude, you're wrapped. You no longer need to do so much broker outreach, because they're calling you. And they're calling you with deals that are off market, which is the most impactful part of this, right? So I want to kind of get some take on it. I know Ryan has had relationships, speaking of brokers, Edward has as well. Anyone else who's had some relationships speaking with brokers, can you give some feedback on what are some things, if I'm just calling, right? What are some things I can say to a broker to be able to start to build that relationship and let them know who you are and what you're trying to do, right? So Ryan, we can start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like Eddie, I think what you said was, it's really key. So I'm just going to reemphasize that. If you go in just like guns a-blazing, I mean, I know we want to take action and get results, but let's be honest, we all know the difference between someone that's genuinely interested in having a win-win relationship, like mutually beneficial, and someone who's just trying to get something from us. So when you jump into those broker calls and just ask, take, and, you know, coming in with just creative, like, they're going to know that. And kind of like this comment you shared, I had a friend that called and just started out with that. Hey, do you have any creative deals? And the broker asked 100%. And he's like, well, if you have them, why do you have opportunities? And he's like, no, I was just wondering if I should hang up right now. Right. So if you go in, like, what you're telling the broker is, oh, do you have anything 100% creative or a little down? They're hearing probably you don't have much money or resources to make deals happen, which scares them, right? If they're going to put a property under contract for their seller, they're going to want some kind of reassurance that you know what you're doing and you're going to be able to take it across the finish line. So yeah, I think
why is that important too? Because a lot of the people that are getting started right now, this is a whole new world, right? So why would, like, for example, on the single family side, if you got a deal on the contract and it doesn't work out, all right, didn't work out, you know, you can even get your earnest money back and then kind of just like on to the next one, right? What's the big deal? It happens all the time. In multifamily though, why is it so important that a broker does not want to be in a situation like that, Ryan?
Yeah, so I think, well, a couple things I'll highlight. A, it can waste a lot of time, right? Because these deals are typically not closing in under, I mean, 45 days minimum, probably more realistically up to 60, and sometimes even up to 90, depending if you're trying to do a loan assumption or just how the deal's going to work out. So A, it can waste a lot of time. And if they tie it up under contract, and you don't pull through, who knows what kind of opportunities that they miss. And B, these brokers are trying to maintain a professional level of, confidence, and they're trying to maintain a reputation, because it can be a tight-knit world, right? And if sellers are start talking to each other or noticing like, oh, hey, this broker, oh, it's gone under contract 3 times now and it's not selling, like what kind of buyers are they bringing and attracting? That can be a big problem for them and their reputation. So the broker's going to he's going to feed his good deals to people that he likes and trusts and knows that they're going to give everything they've got to get this across the finish line, and that they have the resources to do so.
Yep.
And that's the only way they're going to get paid too, right? Brokers got to eat. So they're only making money if you close on the deal, and they're going to be spending quite a bit of time with you through this due diligence process. So,
Yep.
would be my 2 things. So yeah, big keys are, just check in with them. If you're expecting to call a broker one time and have that relationship, it's probably not going to happen unless you're just real charismatic, but if you can call in, just check in. Hey, it's Ryan again, just checking in. Making sure you've got my buy box. Hey, just seeing if you've had any, fixer uppers or properties you think might not move too quick on the market. Follow up. If you want to go real in depth, it doesn't even hurt to, like, here we are in the holidays, like send the guy a Christmas card, or, just reach out and let them know that you're still there and that you're actually thinking about them and that you do want to do deals together. And I know, Eddie, you mentioned this, but if they have some deals that you can spend some creative, a lot of times you've got to spell out that they're going to be able to make their money still and their commission, because they may not understand that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the biggest fears, right? Like, if you're telling me, like, hey, you're going to make this offer on a particular deal that I'm representing, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm only going to bring $20,000 down to the table. Like, you literally just sent panic attacks to their hearts, right? Like, some of these deals, these brokers are gonna make, hundreds of thousands of dollars commissions for all the hard work that they put in. And imagine, here you come, like, yeah, look, I'm looking to put 20K down on a $1.4 million property, and I'll pay you back in 7 years. Like, they're scratching their heads, like, wait a minute, 20. Okay, so basically I'm not getting paid, and you don't have enough money. Like, no, we're not doing business, and they will block you. I want everybody here to understand, if you look to do multifamily the way that you ran your single family business, you will be on a blacklist, and you'll be wondering, why is it you can't do deals with brokers? It is because you are operating under the wrong rules. The rules are different here, and all you have to do is learn how to play by these rules, and you will be successful. So awesome. Thank you, man. Anybody else? I want to see if we get, I want to get at least 1 or 2 more input on how you can build relationship with, brokers, and what's the first 1 or 2 conversations should sound like, what the goals should be like. Ed, are you up? There you go. There you go, my guy. What's up, bro? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
What up? How's everyone? Yes, I kind of want to jump in here, and then also I agree with Ryan's point as well. One thing when it comes to brokers in the multifamily space too, and Eddie, you alluded to this, it's being able to ask the right questions in order to understand what the seller is looking for. And with that comes a little bit of the knowledge piece. I'm not saying you should spend all your day learning, because I don't think I think the best type of learning is action. That's me personally, but it is what, like, if I ask a broker, hey, what is your seller's objective with the sale? And they say they want a 1031 exchange. My first question is, are they 1031 exchanging because they have to or because they want to? Two completely different things. Like if I'm doing 1031 to avoid taxes, we all know ways we could pitch either seller financing or XYZ to make it seem like, hey, we'll give you the benefit of not having to worry about the taxes. And to take it a step further, which is where the learning piece comes in, offer depreciation, which could be more beneficial than the tax down the road, besides the seller financing as well, that a 1031 can offer. And now all of a sudden you've offered them solutions that, one, they don't fully know, which kind of plays good on your part because you are bringing something no one else has. You know, being creative, showing that you think outside the box, so you're not just another phone call. I think that's really important too, because they're now, especially with all the different interests in multifamily, you don't want to sound like the last guy or the next guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's one way to be very unique is, how can I offer something no one else can? More than maybe sub 2 students. Like I'm in sub 2, shoot, I'm wearing the hat. But that doesn't mean there aren't more alternatives that you can combine with the education and stuff we learn in sub 2. You know, there's creativity it is almost endless when it comes to single family space and multifamily space, but it only gets heightened when you realize how creative you could get on equity share, depreciation, the tax benefits, the marginal equity, the LP partnership, the interest, the preferred interest. There's so many different factors that the more familiar you are with it, or at least connected with someone who is familiar with it, Eddie, myself, like we're here to help. You know, the resources are endless, and you never know what question will lead to the answer that you can get you to deal, which is also very fun. You're playing a game.
Great feedback, bro. Great feedback. I want to see if we can get Peter on here before we start making these calls, because Peter, as you know, everyone knows here, Peter Peter started this whole thing, right? He's been making calls back to back to back, reaching out and talking to brokers. You know, this for him, this is like for me, this is episode 2. For Peter, it's like episode 7, right? And so he has a set amount of skill set that he's been able to just learn through the process. I want everyone here to understand that, like, this is a game where you will learn through the process. And that's honestly how to be able to get things done the right way. And so, Peter, I'm gonna have you, okay, perfect, you're unmuted. So go ahead, tell us a little bit about what's the mindset that you have beyond, you know, coming in and talking to brokers. What benefits do you think we can be able to gain from it to be able to help others on their calls as well?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks, guys. I mean, you guys have done a great job of setting this up. Great conversation this morning. You know, it's everything that you guys have already said. It's all about the relationship, right? It's got, when I'm making that phone call, I'm not thinking about a transaction at all. Obviously, that's the goal, right? We need to get to a transaction. That's how we're going to get paid. But this multifamily, you know, I would argue that even single family is the same, right? At the end of the day, the relationship can be very important, even though a lot of those sellers, we're never going to buy another house from them. But I'm sure you've all had the experience where you build a rapport with somebody And then, you know, they may have other options, but they do business with you because you took the time to build a relationship, to find out what they really need and solve their problem, right? A lot of times these sellers in the multifamily world, they don't necessarily have a problem. That's kind of the good thing about multifamily. In single family, you have to have somebody with a problem. There has to, or at least significant motivation or apathy, which is a possibility. But in multifamily, it doesn't have to be a problem. There's a situation they want to sell, and you just want to get the background and why do they want to sell, and that's the key, right? It's just when I have a script, right? We've talked about the script on previous calls. I think this is now our 7th call, which blows my mind. There is a script that I use, so there are questions that I do want to get answered. But at the end of the day, sometimes I only ask one question, and that's, what's the story with this deal, right? What's the seller story? What are they trying to accomplish? And from there, if you have an engaging broker, they'll tell you everything you need to know without you asking another question. So just build that rapport, build that relationship. The first deal they send you is very unlikely a deal you're going to buy. That's just the reality, right? We got to dig through, gosh, at least 100, maybe 200, maybe 300 sometimes to find the right deal. This is definitely a long game. Don't expect, you never know. You could get 5 leads and buy one, but that's just not, build a relationship, play this game for the long term, and I think that's where you're going to have success. And with that, Eddie, I'm going to mute for a second. I'm going to start making some phone calls. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yep, we hear you clearly. What I'll do is I'll lower your hand, and as soon as you get, and this is for anybody, so let's break this down how we typically do this, right? So we normally have like a round robin on, and then behind the scenes, everybody's making calls. So for example, Peter's gonna start making his calls. If he gets somebody, he's gonna raise his hand, and then we'll all pay attention. He'll put it on speaker. We'll all pay attention to Peter and support him and listen to his call and learn, right? Now, the other thing we'll be doing is, because we don't just want to sit here and just waiting, because I don't know if you guys know, but agents typically don't pick up their phone a lot, ever. Brokers are the same. So we want to make sure that we're not just spending time just looking at each other on here, and we're active. And so what we're going to do is behind scenes, okay, you got your hand raised. You got somebody? Oh no, you unraised. Okay. So behind the scenes, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over where to even find brokers, how to reach out to them. There's different places. I know a lot of you know about LoopNet, but you can do the same thing on apartments.com. You can do the same thing on Cretsy. There's a bunch of different websites that you can be able to get into. One of the questions that we got in the background here is, will this be recorded? Yes, this is being recorded. It's being streamed live. So if you want to, you can go to any of our YouTube pages to find this, or if you follow us on Facebook, we are going to have a Facebook page where we just put all of the recordings in there, so it makes it easier as well. So you can pop in, pop out, you can do whatever it needs to do. Listen, we know this is middle of the day. We know people are out here doing what needs to be done to survive or what makes them happy, but they want to get into the multifamily space too. We get it, right? And we got you. So no worries there. So what we're going to do is today is we will start making calls. I'm gonna give you guys what you should be doing. I'm actually going to share my screen and give you guys what you're going to be doing. And I'm also going to talk about the script itself and how you guys should be going about the script. So if we have any questions on that, and we will share.
What's up with you?
No way.
Gotta grow up sometime, right?
Holy cow, that's awesome. So is the 9-month-old your first?
He's our first, yeah, boy.
Okay, very good, very good. And one in the oven already. You didn't waste any time.
Well, the oven is 2022 oven, so we get to decide when we place the button in the oven, if that makes sense.
Oh, I got you. All right. Well, that's, it's sometimes that's the way it works. So, well, listen, we were doing some research today looking for some commercial brokers to call, and you popped up. I didn't even know you were in that world.
I was in that world before the gold business. So my dad's a developer, commercial broker his whole life, and I grew up on job sites, all commercials, specifically apartments. And now managing the apartment team for NAI here in Atlanta. I was in Southern California for years, running the Orange County apartment team and a couple of brokers. And when my wife and I moved back a couple years ago, like 3 years ago, she's done residency. She said, anesthesiologist and everything. Yeah, I just stayed with NAI here, and I manage the apartment team here.
That is awesome. Very cool. So are you selling assets? What do you do specifically?
Yeah, so my specialty is anything to do with apartments. Most of my tenants, most of the ownership is acquisition and disposition, right? So I have clients that want to pass their assets on to kids. Primarily, it's private wealth. So I don't work with the REITs. I don't do the Class A new construction. That's not really my forte. Anything from 2 to 15 million is right in my wheelhouse. So most of that is privately owned, and they want to leave it to their kids and families. And my job is to partner with my clients and build their portfolio as big as it can with adequate cash flow, along the way. So were you doing the lending side? Is that what I saw on your LinkedIn, or what's up?
Well, yeah, so I do lending. That's more, single family and multifamily fix it kind of stuff. I also provide capital for new construction, which is kind of picking up right now because almost nobody wants to do it. So I still have lenders that do. So that's gotten really busy for me. But that's kind of my day job. But I'm actually looking to acquire multifamily assets. So we built a team. We are underwriting deals every single day, and my job is to put more deals into the pipeline. So I'm reaching out to everybody I know, and many people I don't know who are in the business of brokering assets, and just getting the word out on what our buy box is, and trying to pick up some more assets. So we're looking for. Personally, I'm looking for 100+ unit deals. I like Class A myself, but we're looking at A, B, C+, primarily in the Sun Belt, quite frankly, in red states specifically. But yeah, like everybody else, right? No surprise. So, but.
Do you want value add play? Do you want stabilized? What kind of cap rate? What are you looking for? I mean, just so I have an idea.
Yeah, so we definitely want value add. Now, that said, we're not necessarily looking for massive construction projects, right? We'll do some construction, we'll do light rehab. The ideal place is the mom and pop that's self-managed. And, we can come in and just streamline the management and drive value that way. But we'll look at anything where we can add value, kind of looking for at least $1 million in upside. And we'll look at things that are smaller than 100 doors, obviously, but if it's not at least 40 or 50, it's probably not going to be big enough. But if it's 20 and it's in my backyard, I might consider it, right? It'd have to be in the perfect spot for something that small. But the last deal we did that we put under contract is outside of Memphis. It's a $40 million project, 138 doors, and it's got, I forget how many square feet, but like 8 commercial spaces. So it's mixed use. So we kind of like that as well. But
Did you get a entitlements, or was it already thrown that way?
No, so it's brand. That's the, it's not what you would think value add buyers are looking for, right? This is a brand new building. It was just completed in 2021, but you know, a lot of these build,
Is it by Germantown? Where's it in relation to the city?
it's in Lakeland.
Like, okay.
So, you know, a lot of these builders build beautiful products, but they're not managers. So you wouldn't think that a Class A building that's brand spanking new would have upside, but this place has pretty significant upside. So yeah, the seller's getting what they want. We're getting a nice assumable loan. We're raising about 17 million to close that deal. And it's, you know, I think the investors are going to be really, really happy 5 years down the road. So, but anyway, that's what I'm up to. And you know, we love off-market stuff. I don't know if you ever come across any of that or.
The majority of what I do is all off market. I mean, in terms of buyers pool, I've got a massive book of business.
Right.
Of people that have closed with me. So there's other brokers in town, like your Bull Realty, that throw stuff into the market. And the stuff I do, you'll never see it. You'll never even hear about it.
Right.
It's the deals are done. The only time you'll see it is when you get a co-star comp. So yeah. So yeah, I like off market. There's a lot of the relationships I have with buyers, right? I know what their expectations are. I don't have time to go back and forth with first time buyers. They just, you know, I'm at a point in my life where I don't have the patience for it, nor do I have the time for it. That's not my business model. So all my buyers are vetted. They have their own lending. They 99% of the time provide their own construction crews. Like they're fully, you know, vertically integrated, right? So they just say, hey, go find me the deal, and either I'll pay you or the sellers will pay you. I don't care. We'll make sure you get paid. Just here's my parameters. So that's what I do. Is when I go in, I get to use AI, which is a big name, right? And so they say, okay, cool, you're broke with AI, and leverage that relationship with the company I work for. But at the end of the day, it's just deal points. So yeah, some buyers, some sellers don't think they're motivated, but then you have an aggressive buyer. My buyer's from California, where I was, right? That they're getting 3 caps, what they used to, and now I'm like, hey, come here, you get a 4 or 5 cap, you know,
Right.
outside 5 years, and they're like, oh shit, absolutely, let's move our money out of California. You know, the red tape and the bullshit that the state has put on rent control in LA County. I mean, I have clients, I still have clients today that are like, get me out of the state. Here's what I want. So
Yeah.
for the rest of buyers, everyone's a buyer. Well, especially in a world when interest rates were lower. Even now, the deal still makes sense. I don't care if interest rates are 15%, right? It all comes down to, you know, your cash flow and, you know, what the position is in your exit strategy. So there's still opportunities all over. Specifically multifamily. I mean, that's what I do because I grew up in it, right? So I can look at it and I can do a takeoff on renovation costs. I can tell you how much, you know, capital investment we need per door, how they streamline over the next 5 years, how much do we want to do at once to maintain cash flow and still get a return. So yeah, I'd love to see this something that makes sense for us. Sure.
Yeah.
Look at it anywhere in the Sun Belt, not necessarily in Atlanta, but I mean, obviously if it's in your backyard, you're still in Atlanta, right?
I am still in the same spot when we were working together. Yes, sir. I'm up in Roswell. Yeah.
I'm in Sandy Springs. I live right by Dunwoody Village, even though I have Sandy Springs an address on one house in Sandy Springs, and then the Dunwoody borders, you know, the DeKalb County is right next to me, and then I'm in Fulton County, of course, in Texas. But I'm in Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, right by where we used to work.
Yeah, we're neighbors. I mean, you're right across the river from me. So
Exactly.
yeah, let's you know, I'm out of town actually until about New Year's Eve. So what I will do is I'm gonna make a note in my calendar. I'm gonna give you a buzz.
Yeah, let's do lunch or something. We'll get on the same page and see what's up. We'll look at a few properties and, you know, I can better understand what you guys are looking at or what you guys have done in the past. And then we'll let me go to work and see if I can put something together for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to go, you know, even if it's something you already have under contract, I'd love to go walk something with you. So let's definitely put that on the calendar for the first or second week of January.
Sounds good, dude. I'm in Vegas for 5 days for work. I mean, a little bit of work and a little bit of play, but it may have to be middle to late January.
Yeah.
I've got commitments the first week. I got commitments the second week.
Perfect.
And then I've got, you know, a baby. But so let's put on the calendar in January sometime. Just realistically, maybe middle to later.
Yeah.
Second or third week.
Awesome. I'll put you on the calendar. I'll reach out to you like the end of the second week and we'll get something on the calendar.
Perfect. Happy holidays. All the best to your family. Thanks for the call, and I'll look forward to catching up in January.
Thanks, Dave. I can't believe I found you today. And my wife was actually, I'm in the car, I'm driving. And my wife was doing the research on LinkedIn. And she said, she pulled it up. She said, Nate Rizzo. I'm like, let me see that picture. Like, holy cow, that's too funny. So, yeah, absolutely. Glad I called, Nate. We look forward to catching up with you.
All right, take care,
See you, man.
Boom. Put some
I hope
mother
you guys
effing
could hear that,
signs in the
okay?
chat.
Uh-oh.
Listen, Peter's out here making phone calls from the road, and some of you are sitting home and you haven't picked up the phone. You haven't even gone on the website.
When I grow up, I want to be as smooth as Peter is on the phone.
Come on. Too smooth.
Oh, you know what it is?
Billionaire Pete. That's his new name.
I couldn't even hear you talking because it was connected to my Bluetooth, which I had taken out of my ear.
You
So-
did it amazing. So give us some backdrop on that, right? So this is someone it sounds like you already had a previous relationship with, maybe
Yeah.
once or twice in the future. But I really want you to go into detail on like how you
Right.
handled the call.
Well, and that was, I mean, it couldn't have been any better, considering the conversation that you guys had previously, right? Talking about relationship. So my wife was literally, we're in the car, she's searching online. I said, let's go to LinkedIn this morning. Let's find some people I haven't called before on LinkedIn. And she throws out this name, Nate Rizzo. I mean, I worked with this guy 15 years ago, and I had no idea that he was in real estate. So I thought, oh, let's make him the first call. And sure enough, so he and I worked together. Actually, you know, it's funny, Eddie, we worked together with Abraham when Abraham was in the gold business.
Wow.
So that's how I met Nate. Haven't talked to him probably since 2009, 2010. So more than a decade. And I, never expected him to answer the phone. Of course, he answers the phone, and again, it was all about building the relationship, right? I wasn't about to say, well, hey, what do you got for me? What properties can we walk next week? It was just about talk to him about he's having a baby. He's got a 9-month-old. He's having another baby. Just, reconnecting, and then let him know what I'm up to, find out what he's up to, and just build that relationship. And,
So Peter, let me stop you there really
Yep.
fast. I want you to continue. I don't want to chime in because I know a lot of people are probably like, yeah, see, but Peter already knew the person. So that's why they was able to hit it off. I think you're missing the point. Peter knew certain things about the individual, or he was updated on the call. But if you have the person's name, okay, you can do a Google search and find some information that you can be able to randomly bring up. Okay, I don't want anybody feeling, oh, like, well, I don't know, that feels kind of, listen, if you were to go apply for a job right now, you would literally legally fill out paperwork that will say that you understand that we're going to do our background check on you. Not only will they do a background check, but they're also going to check all of social media, all of the internet, to see if your name pops up and who your character is. You guys need to be using it for your business. You have a Fortune 500 business as well. So make sure you're using that. He could have easily gotten the same detail from, maybe his Facebook page or Instagram, right? And just casually bring it up. Like if I found that there was a broker that was partying this past weekend, right? I would bring something up about the weekend. Because if they had a good enough time to post it, they'll probably have a good enough time to want to talk about it. So I might bring up the weekend just so I can give them the opportunity to share something with me, which is allowing for us to be able to build a relationship. But yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah. So did I mute myself, or am I off mute?
No, you're off mute.
Okay, cool. So, I know one of the things we talk about on these calls in the past is what we're after is the OM, the T12, and the rent roll, right? And ultimately that's the goal. But as I'm thinking about the conversation we've had here today, that certainly doesn't need to be the goal for the first call, right? If that happens, that's totally cool. But my goal on the first call is just to find out about this person, right? I don't care about any listings they have currently. I don't care about anything. You know, if a lot of times what we're doing is we're looking for properties that look interesting, and then we're calling the broker on that property. I think that's a good strategy, right? We can introduce ourselves and say, hey, calling you about XYZ property. Wanted to get some more information about that. But I like the approach to say, I'd love to get some more information about that. But what I'd really like to know is, what do you do and what is your specialty? Do you specialize in multifamily? And then just get them talking about themselves. If I don't say a word about my buy box and what I'm after until my second or third call, that's totally fine, right? I want them. I think so often we get so focused on, okay, I gotta get what I need, right? I need the T12, I need the rent roll. Me. We've got to take that focus off of us. What is this person? How can I bring value to this person? And the way we're going to succeed in this business is bringing value to these brokers, bringing value to mom and pop owners of multifamily assets that don't want to own them anymore. And as long as we keep that focus, right? Serve. How do I serve this person? I think we can't help but succeed in the long term. So that's just what's coming up for me this morning. Anybody, I'd love to hear any feedback, any thoughts anybody had. And one other thing I'll comment about that call, right? I talked about the 20 million, the $40 million deal, $39 million in Lakeland, Tennessee. I don't have anything to do with that deal, not a single thing. Actually, hopefully that's not totally true. Hopefully I don't miss it. I am planning on being an investor, passive investor in that deal, right? But I did nothing to create that deal other than build relationships with several of the team members that are involved in that deal, right? So I'm on a greater team, right? This phone call right here is a team, right? This isn't my Zoom. This isn't Eddie's Zoom. This is a Zoom for the community of people who want to learn about multifamily. And if you're on this call, you're part of this team that put that deal under contract in Memphis. And I want to encourage you guys to talk like you own that, right? It just brings a level of confidence and a level of credibility that these guys want to talk to you. Now, as I'm talking to Nate, in my head, I'm thinking, oh man, he's got super big players. He doesn't need me. How am I gonna turn this conversation around to say, okay, Nate, how do I get on that list, right? How do I get you to call me? How do I find out about those deals? And because I had a relationship with him from the past, he kind of did that, right? He's like, yeah, let's get together. Let's see if we can work together. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that at all. But
So
I think,
I want to point something out about that, right? You didn't say let's get lunch. He did.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody's understanding how the broker's world works. It's about relationships, right? So that was a very key point there that you brought forth.
Yeah, and the key is going to be the relationships that I can forge with other players, right? With guys like Carlos Salguero, with guys like Grant Cardone, right? I'm not likely going to have Grant Cardone's phone number anytime soon, right? But I'm one person away from somebody who does. And if Nate comes up with a massive deal that just feels too big for us, our smaller team, it's not there. There is no deal that's too big for us because we're part of a larger community that literally can take down any deal that you can come up with. And that's what I want, the message that I'm trying to get out. This whole thing started because I was on a call with a bunch of people. We were supposed to be reaching out to brokers, a Zoom call just like this one, and no one wanted to raise their hand and make the phone calls. It was me and one other guy, and we were the only ones that, and I'll be honest, I was, I hadn't made a single phone call to a broker. So I felt that apprehension, right? Didn't stop me, but I felt it. Well, now, heck, I've done it so many weeks in a row, live on a Zoom call. It's second nature. I'll pick up the phone and call. In fact, my wife was doing some research today, and she's like, "Oh man, this woman, she's got a podcast. She started a fund. She's got all this stuff." She said, "I don't think you want to call her." I said, "What are you talking about? Get her number. I
That's
definitely want." She is exactly the person I want to call, especially on this. I want everybody to hear this conversation. We didn't find her phone number because, but we're going to keep looking. Maybe we'll call her next week.
All right, so
And hopefully that'll be the second call because I'll talk to her before that.
perfect. So Ed just put in the chat. Ed, you can unmute yourself real quick before we get to our next call, because I want to show the people how to be able to reach out to brokers just using one avenue, which is LoopNet. You can use LinkedIn. You can use apartment.com. You can go to local meetups. You can go to meetup.com and be able to type in multifamily, type in commercial brokers, commercial real estate. They are available. And the crazy thing is they want to meet people like you, right? But you listen to what the guy said. You really gonna have two types of people. You're gonna have the one who are like, yeah, you know what, you knew? Cool, no problem. I'll help you. And you have the others that's like, oh, geez, you're new. I don't want to have to deal with somebody new. I need somebody who has some experience. And you could do what Peter did, was leveraging the fact that, yeah, he's getting started, but he's part of a bigger team who is not new, right? He leveraged the story of the bigger team that he's going to become part of to impress upon this gentleman that, hey, listen, I may be new, but my team don't play games. We've been here before. We are hungry and looking for more and more deals. So what's up? And I personally thoroughly believe that's why Peter got invited to lunch, because it made him understand something. When Peter started telling the story about what him and his partners did, he puckered up. And all of a sudden, if you go back and listen to this recording, you hear that's when the switch happened. And now he was proving to Peter what he's been doing in the space and who's he connected to, right? So that's a hint, hint, clue, clue. If you're apprehension on like, well, I'm new. No, use that to your advantage. That works. But don't be so new by saying that it's just you by yourself. Because like Peter said, you're not by yourself. So Ed, you want unmute yourself and talk to us about what you just messaged, said a Phoenix broker called you?
What are you doing?
I'm doing well, actually. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that email with the list of properties. Definitely looking to get a few things locked up actually before, ideally opening escrow by the end of the year would be great. I know with the holidays, sometimes the sellers are going to, it's a little harder to get a hold of them, right? But we definitely want to move. And I know on the MLS, you're not getting much or too many over 15. Do you have access to, or do you guys in Phoenix have a specific commercial list that might have more properties on the market that we can target? Or is it,
Yeah.
You do?
And so the way it works here is there's like CoStar, if you've heard of CoStar.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I have CoStar, so that's not a problem pulling those. But not every broker puts them on CoStar. It's really just, there's a bunch of brokers, and a lot of times they even just put them on their own website.
I see.
So I have to, manually go to, 30 different broker sites and see if there's anything there.
Got it.
So,
would that still work the same way to your benefit in regards to being able to represent us? Just because I know sometimes commercial brokers especially like to try to keep it more exclusive, or how would that work?
They try, yeah, but a lot of times I just reach out and say, would you, offer a co-broke or work with me? And most of the time they say yes. So
Okay, awesome.
That's not really the problem. The problem is there's not like an automated way for me to send you when stuff comes out, because of how that the data comes through. So, if you guys are still actively looking, I'll just put it on my calendar to just, check those sites for what you're looking for. And if I notice anything, just one-off email you. So.
No, that makes sense. Actually, like I mentioned, we are expanding our team in a sense where we're really filling out roles and people who are looking to just focus on the acquisition side while I do the underwriting.
Okay.
Would it be easier if you sent me like the list of the different brokers, or it's kind of the people who are most likely, or maybe you even just worked with, like the brokers that you're familiar with and whatnot that know you, and we can just check their site kind of consistently and see if there's a way we can keep our eye on it, but take away the we have more time to do it. Like, we're a team, I don't want to. I know. I appreciate you sending us what you have with the 10 plus unit, 15 plus unit, and stuff like that. But if we can just keep our eye on the commercial stuff and then call you as soon as we see something that might be interesting, that would work for us. And then, of course, I know you're going to check periodically anyway. So if you see something that might be, you might think we like, that's a great way for us to just start up another conversation, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I'll send you the list. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll send you the list. It's there's probably like maybe 10 that I check that most frequently, because those 10 are going to have most of the listings. And then there's a few that you might check, and they might have a listing every couple months.
For
So
sure.
it's, yeah.
Yeah, and if it's even outside of Phoenix, maybe like in the secondary market, population wise, we prefer the more the better, obviously, but if it's like 50, 60, 70,000 plus in population, we're not going to turn down the opportunity to buy out there. So like, and you already know me, you already know we like the creative stuff, and we're gonna be able to offer different than most people. So we're gonna do that no matter where it is, as long as the location makes sense. And obviously, when I run the numbers, that makes sense. But yeah, send me that list and we can see what happens. And obviously, the second I see something that interests us or the numbers work, I'm calling you right away before we even try to make a contact, because I want you obviously to get your end of it, but I also want to make sure that we can work with someone we trust, which I obviously trust you a lot. So
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I will, I'll send you the links, and I'll also keep my eyes open if I see anything else. But that way you'll have the kind of the list of brokers, and that and the list I'll send you it's brokers that I have noticed that don't always put it on CoStar. So it's always, they may have some of it on CoStar, but not all of it. So that it's more like, for me, I go to CoStar and I see what's there. And if I don't see anything on CoStar, then I go to the different broker sites to see if there's anything else. Kind of the MO or the process.
And of course, I'm sure as you and I both know, the more exclusive and the more or the less eyes on anything, the better it is for us. So the more of those we get our hands on, the more likely we are to be able to put the offer that makes sense for everyone. And then that's when once I have the underwriting done, I can even send you the LOI, and then you can write the offer based off of that, or we'll talk strategy then. It seems like it's much more deal to deal cases. But once we kind of see a few things we like and see a few things that we're interested in, who knows, we might make another trip out there, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll get you that list. No problem.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. I'll look out for that email. If I see anything between now and then, I'll absolutely call you back or call you and connect. If I don't, happy holidays. Hopefully I'll speak to you before the new year. I'm sure I will, but just hope you get to enjoy your holidays.
Thank you. I hope you do too.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call, Pat.
All right. Thanks, Ed. All right.
Take care. Bye. Sweet. So the funniest part about that is he called me. I didn't call him. This is someone that we were in escrow with on a property in Phoenix that we were doing seller financing, and we have a buy box or criteria set up on the MLS that everything that has seller financing in it comes our way. And he's just checking in with me because we hadn't talked in a while. So I was like, all right, like it was nice of him to call. And actually, funny enough, it leads into what I was gonna say about Peter's conversation before I got this call. Is it's one thing to connect with a broker and build a relationship. It's another thing to connect with them, but also leave something that you can refer to the next time you call. So I know now we not only set up a reason for us to talk again, I think it's very important. Every time like I try to get off a call, not even with the broker, with our team, with if me and Eddie get off a call, it's like, okay, Eddie, what are you and I doing between now and our next call? And when is that next call? Because if we're working together, we want to make sure that we know what the other is doing. You know, if I just say, all right, Eddie, thanks, cool, great conversation. We spent 30 minutes talking about X, Y, Z, and all of the above, but we have no action plan in place for our next call. We're just going to be sitting there waiting for the other person, and we're not going to know what's going on. Communication is the most important part. It's literally what we're doing when we're reaching out to these guys, the guys and gals with the brokers, is you want to be like, okay, hey, here's a fun story. One of the first people and reasons I got into real estate, a very good friend of mine, is an agent out here in Los Angeles. Mind you, there's a bajillion realtors in Los Angeles. So how do you stand out? He had an interesting name. His name was Chris, but with a K, K-R-I-S. And he used to always come to the office wearing bow ties and suited up and whatever. And he started introducing himself as, hey, I'm Chris with a K. And he used to name his days of the week: Money Monday, Takeover Tuesday, Epic Wednesday, Thankful Thursday, and F yeah Friday. And because of that, he would walk in and had this like created this persona, and everyone remembers him. You know, people he hadn't seen in 3, 4, 5 years remembered him because of that persona. And I'm not saying walk into every Zoom and start like in a bow tie, because I'm the last person that's going to put on a bow tie and get suited up. I'm the person who would wear the half suit waist up. I'm not the biggest dress up guy in the world, but my point is like, how are people going to remember you? You know, I like to, like, I'm the underwriting guy, which luckily there's not many of those, but I'm also really good at it. So it's like, okay, this is my specialty. When people think underwriting, I want them to think of me. You know, Eddie has his own niche and his stuff that he keeps building and growing that brand that he's amazing at doing, and everyone loves Eddie. You know, I think the coolest thing that can happen is like, I was on a Zoom talking with Abraham, and it was the first time I ever talked to him. And then he brings up Eddie, and I'm like, oh my God, Eddie's amazing. I love Eddie. And then now we have something to bond over. But if it's not for Eddie, I don't have that same connection with Abraham. You see how like building that brand and putting yourself around people in the community really helps with that. And that's what you're trying to do with brokers. And now when I want to talk to these brokers, I want to get information about the property that these listings. I have this exclusive list now, hopefully exclusive. I can say, hey, yeah, I'm working with this broker. He referred me, or he's the one who told me to about this, or he can reach out. He has a relationship. Let me put it my last point, because I actually have to hop on a call about a property in Phoenix right now. But what's the best way to build a relationship with someone? If you are a degree of separation away from them, is build a relationship with someone they know first, that you have access to. You know, for example, Brandon Turner, everyone knows him, Bigger Pockets, right? I am buddies with one of the guys that was on his podcast. And funny enough, one of the guys that's been on the Bigger Pockets podcast that lives in LA also travels to Hawaii a lot. Well, my brother moved to Maui last year, and I introduced my brother to that guy, Alex Camacho, for anyone curious about the name. Long story short is, my friend has now hung out with what's the guy's name? Murdoch, and like a bunch of the Bigger Pocket staff and all the people there and all Alex's friends, like Bigger Pockets crew out there who are multi-million-dollar investments a year. And my brother he's not even in this game. But now he's referring them to contractors and stuff like that because he's in construction out there. You see how crazy it is just by me introducing him to someone, all of a sudden is hanging out with the most like people in our industry who kill to even me. So it's just connecting that and building those relationships.
Yep, that's what it takes. It's about relationships, right? And that's what you guys ultimately want. You want to be able to have brokers calling you, checking up on you, right? And being able to maneuver that. Like Edward took exactly what we were just talking about and applied it to this call right before our eyes. He heard Peter go ham on his call, and then he just It's like, boom, let's do it, right? Now, here's a key thing that I want to point out. One, you all should be following up with your brokers. Even if it's like to say, hey, follow up with your brokers. Remember, this is about relationships. This transactional, this is not transactional, it's relationship based. So follow up with your brokers, if not weekly, then bi-weekly. Okay, just check in, say how you doing, whatever. The other thing is, like Ed just said, you need to have a superpower. And if you don't know what your superpower is, I will tell you 2 things you can do to decide which superpower you should have. You should get heavy into broker outreach, or you should get heavy into raising private capital. If you have those, one of those as a superpower, you will be the most favorite person in any room that you go into. Think about it. You're the person that have access to deals that nobody else can get access to because of your relationship, broker outreach, or you're the person that have access to capital for when people have deals, they're like, oh, I need to raise $1 million. You should call Eddie. Why should I call Eddie? Eddie will have access to $1 million. He can get you that.
Real quick, I want to jump in. I'm gonna head out, but I want to say thank you guys for being on here. Eddie, Peter, you guys are amazing. To the point that Eddie brought up, you can never have too many deals in your flow, and you can never have too much private capital. So anyone says they don't need that, they're delusional, or they just don't know what they're doing. So if anyone tells you they don't need it, you know where to find us. But I hope we come to us first. So thank you guys. I gotta hop off.
Hey, before he hops off, I wanna let you guys know, Ed said it earlier. He really is a phenomenal underwriter. In fact, every Wednesday at 8 p.m., we are doing a free napkin underwriting class. We did our first one last week. It was live, it was on YouTube and everything like that. You can find it. And we actually gave away a free napkin underwriting tool. We were supposed to be on for an hour. It turned into 3 hours, giving away game, underwriting deals, and etc. We're going to do that each and every week, and he's the star of the show. So if you want to learn how to napkin underwrite, if you want to learn how to be able to, figure out, is this a deal or is it not a deal? And you want to watch someone who's phenomenal, this is what he does. Join into that, and we'll put the links in there for you as well, so you guys can be able to see it. And here's the best thing: if you bring your deal, and this is what I really love about multifamily, because multifamily, you don't have to give an address necessarily. So I know sometimes people want to get help, but they're afraid somebody might steal the deal. You can't really steal deals in multifamily, right? So if you have a deal that you like, hey, I found this one, I spoke with a broker or a seller, whatever, you can bring it and we'll do a napkin underwrite for you for free. We're not charging anybody. Like, we want to help for 2 selfish reasons. One, we don't want to be the only ones making money. I don't know if you noticed, but when you're the only rich friend, it's kind of boring. It's real lonely when you go out, when everybody else still gotta go to work. So we want as many like-minded people who come along on this ride with us. The second is we're looking to partners. We're looking for people who want to do deals. And if you bring a deal and it works and you say, hey, look, would you want to partner with us on this one? Of course, we're gonna be like, hell yeah, let's do it, right? And so deep down, those are our 2 main reasons, but ultimately we just want to be able to help out, right? So that's gonna be every Wednesday at 8 p.m. We'll put the link before we drop off. Definitely don't miss Ed. Come in and kill it. All right, see you, bro.
See you guys. Take care.
All right, Peter, I know you had unmuted, so I'm gonna let you come in to be able to speak. It's gonna be Wednesday, 8 p.m. EST. And if you guys are following me, I will repost all the details to it. So that's me on IG. Sorry, I put in a thing. I'll put it in the chat for you guys. It's at this dad, THIS dad flips on IG, and on Facebook, it's Eddie Charger. But I'll also drop an email in here for everybody while Peter is talking to us all. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so I was really just unmuting to give Ed a hard time, and He's supposed to be the underwriter. What the heck's he doing on the phone with brokers, man?
Listen, man,
That's
he's
crazy
out here
stuff.
getting
That was awesome. So the other cool thing while that was happening is I got another text from another sub 2 student who's sending me a deal because they're part of the sub 2 community. They knew about Eddie Charger. They knew about Eddie Charger's Zoom call. They showed up on the Zoom call. They started making calls, and now they have deals coming to them, and they have no idea what to do with them. So they're bringing them back to us. So the reason I tell that story is I started this Zoom to encourage people that this was doable, right? This is doable for anybody, no matter how scared you are. We've had the most introverted people get on and make phone calls live.
Mhm.
That's why we started it, to encourage people to do that. But the other thing I want to encourage you to do is when you come on these Zooms, number one, come and participate, come and ask questions, come and give feedback, bring broker names and numbers and make phone calls and get known, raise your hand. That's some advice I got early on when I started attending these Zooms. And the first several times I just kind of sat in the background and I didn't say much. And then once I started raising my hand, I started to get known. And then when I started the Zoom call, I started to get known. And I've known Eddie, I've known you for probably more than a year at this point. I don't remember exactly when we met.
Mhm.
But if I hadn't raised my hand and started to get known, you and I wouldn't have joined forces, right? We've joined forces because I became known. Now it's like almost everybody on Carlos Delgado's team knows who I am. And you have to get known so that people start to understand what your skill set is and can help. I mean, the encouragement I've gotten since I started doing this is off the chart. I can't even believe it. I did this to encourage other people, and I've ended up getting more encouragement than I could imagine. So I'd say that just to, you're coming on to learn. That's great. Keep coming back to learn, right? Even if you're not ready to raise your hand yet, but you gotta start speaking up. You gotta start asking questions. You gotta start getting known. This is a team sport. You can do single family alone. You really can. It's better as in a team, but you can't do this alone. There's no possible way. Nobody can do broker outreach, do underwriting, do property management, do capital raising. There's too many things to be done. You have to have a team. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I appreciate everything you did here this week, Eddie, the last couple of weeks. This has been so much better since you and I combined forces. I look forward to seeing where this goes in the future. If you got any value out of this, guys, please follow us on all the social media stuff, subscribe, like us on YouTube, do all that stuff, but invite your friends, come on back and raise your hand, ask questions. We're here to help you guys. That's really why we're doing this. I don't need to come on here and make phone calls. I can make phone calls on my own. I love doing it with the group, and I love it when you guys do it. That's the favorite part. When somebody says, hey, I reached out to a broker and I had a great conversation and they're sending me deals because you guys encouraged me to make phone calls. That's the best feedback I can get. So that's it.
Absolutely, man. Love it. So here's what we want to do. I'm putting some information in chat link for you guys to follow up on if you want the replay. Like Peter said, go to our social medias. We have like 5 minutes or so before we head off, but I want to first see if we can get a broker on, and also want to make sure that you guys know how to do it from LoopNet. Now, if you guys missed the beginning, you should definitely go back to the beginning of the Zoom today, on the replay, because we talked about brokers who are feeling the impregnant impression of the elephant challenge. Okay, they are hearing the calls, they're getting the calls, and they're hearing people make offers that just don't make sense to them, and so they're like, wait a minute, what? Wait a second. They know it by name. They know it's to pace Morby students and et cetera, et cetera. Here's why you should go back over that, because I go into detail of how you should be going through everything to make sure that you are different from how everybody else sounds. It's very, very important, okay? And by doing so, you'll get through a lot better, a lot faster. We got a question from Jeremy. Hey, I'm sorry, I know you're in talks and stuff, but just curious if we underwrite what the limit is for the top end of deals. I know sponsors that have a limit and can't be bringing in like 100 million deals if sponsor action sponsor. Jeremy, could you just come up to the top real quick? I don't quite understand the full detail of your question. Just raise your hand and I'll bring you on stage real quick and we can go over that. So while Jeremy is doing that, I also want to make sure that we get a chance to do this. All right, I see. Actually, I don't see you, Jeremy. Hold on. Jeremy, did you raise your hand yet?
So Eddie, I'll comment on that real quick.
Okay.
I think the gist of what he's trying to say is, you know, is there an upper limit, right? And I think that's natural, especially when you're getting started. It's the tendency to think small, right? The smaller it is, the more likely I can do the deal. What I would say to that is there is no upper limit, right? If the deal underwrites and it truly has great upside and we can drive value, I don't care if it's $100 million deal. I don't care if you have to raise $100 million in private capital. That is not impossible. I'm not going to tell you that's going to be easy, but if it requires $100 million of private capital and it's a strong cash flowing deal, ultimately we will get Grant Cardone's attention and we'll get that deal done. Now, if it's a super tight deal and it's a 3.5 cap, $200, $300 million deal, no, we're probably not going to do that. But if there's upside, if we can buy it at a discount, if it truly underwrites, I would tell you we can get that deal done.
Perfect. I should have just let the money man handle the question because I knew you understood exactly what you're talking about. So there you go. So listen, that's a great example of why teamwork is so important, right? Like I don't have to know the ins and out of the money side to be able to work this out because I have a person like Peter who's amazing at it to give insight and be able to work on that side of the business for us. So if you guys are looking for a place to kind of just learn from, definitely just connect with us. Like I said, this is what we do, right? This is what we're about. Let me share my screen real quick and show you guys all the chaos that I've been doing in the background, right? So here we go. So if you guys aren't aware, this is LoopNet, okay? It's a regular website that you can go to. I'll make it bigger. All right. I'm going to LoopNet just because it's one of the easier ones. It's simple. You don't need to subscribe or anything like that. Granted, saying that, obviously, you're aware that a million other people also will have access to this, right? Does that matter? No, because you're looking to build relationships. So you could care less. That's like saying you go into high school and you're like, oh man, I was gonna make friends with that person, but someone else already made friends with them first. So I guess I can't go make friends with them anymore. No, it's not the case at all, right? So when you get to LoopNet, you want to type in your location that you're focused on. Now, really quick, I'm not gonna go into details on it, guys, but you need to pick a central location. You cannot master, especially if you are by yourself, you cannot master nationwide multifamily. It's impossible, okay? You need to have, if you're just starting off, I would tell you 1. 2, if you're really, really nice. 3, if you have a team, but you can't master all of them, right? So pick a state, and all you're gonna do is you come in here. In fact, somebody give me a state. give me a state that they are interested in doing, looking for properties in, and we'll look that up really, really fast. Let's see, who's gonna be first? Who's gonna give me a state? Who's gonna state? All right, Florida wins. All right, so you just come in here, you type in Florida, okay? And now that you go into Florida, what you wanna do is now, don't get excited. This is not all of the multifamily that exists. This is everything. Every commercial real estate that's in Florida is lighting up right now that is for sale, all right? So what I would tell you to do is to come in here, you wanna click multifamily. Baby, you too loud, you wanna say hi to everybody? So you click multifamily in here. And for the most part, that's all you really need to do. I typically like to come in here and make sure auctions is checked off. If I was looking for commercial property like retail, and I wanted to make sure I had a triple net lease, I can check this on, but that's not what I'm looking for. So I'll leave that stressed out. But here's what I'm saying. You can find some apartments that have retail on it, and that would be a good key thing that you want to add in there. All right. So I'm just gonna come in here and I'm gonna hit search. All right, so now what I have left is these properties. Okay, now here's the second thing you want to do. You picked out your location, you got to figure out what type of property do you want. The more drilled down you can get, the better it is going to be for you as opposed to your search. So for example, if I know, let's go back to filter, let's see if they have year built. All right, so if I know I'm only looking for 1980 and above, now that's going to limit what my search is, but the reason why I'm looking for 1980 and above, because it's probably going to be less amount of work that's needed in a property that's been constructed in the 80s, as opposed to the 60s or the 40s or something like that, right? This is just an example I'm giving to you guys. All right, so perfect. Now, here's what it made for us. So I can scroll down, I can kind of look at like, okay, what type of properties am I looking for? 11 unit or something like that, I definitely don't want. I want to be able to get at least 20 units or so. But it depends on like the area. Me personally, if I'm looking at something, I want at least 40 units. 40 units and up. Now, if it's 40 units and under, and I can take care of it creatively, I can do a creative deal, I will definitely look at it, right? Or if it's like some special type of thing, then I will definitely take a look at it. So just scrolling down here, let's see if we can find something. There were some pretty big ones up here, but I didn't want anybody to, but this was 132, so that's not bad. So let's scroll down. This is 11 unit, but it looks pretty decent, right? Looks like they've done some work to it. And that's another thing you want to look for. Are you looking for, you heard the agent, the broker talking to Peter, and he said, are you guys looking for value add? Or what are you looking for? And Peter was saying, hey, look, I'm not looking for something I got to come in with, hammers and nails and stuff like that. But, we're not opposed to doing some fixer and upper, right? So that property that I showed you above, this one, this obviously looks like it's had some work done to it, right? Like, oh, perfect, right here. It says furnished 11 units, vacation stay, right? So not one that I would go in thinking, okay, maybe this is gonna be a value add play if they already did a bunch of stuff. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there is no value add left here. There it is. But again, you wanna work with somebody to kind of give you insight on it. This is multifamily, I feel, is the type of scenario you definitely want to partner with people who have more experience than you do to be able to help you, okay? Now look, there's like 7 pages here, right? I can just randomly go to any page and just start looking for properties. All right, and find which ones I like. Like this one, it's right here, I can see it. See, as soon as I go to it, it pulls up. This one's over here. Okay, it's not far away from Orlando. All right. Why am I looking at this one? It's a 4-unit apartment building. Now I'm curious because I wonder if this is actually 4 units. or if it's 4 buildings. So it's built in 2011. So you see built in 2011, 1999. All right, so it's an 8-unit multifamily complex. All right, so is this a good deal? It could be. I'm just not interested in that right now. And just to kind of give some insight, the reason why I'm not interested in that is because it's the amount of work that you're going to do is going to be the same, whether I get an 11 unit or I get a 40 unit. So if the work is going to be the same, the capital raise is going to be the same, the work afterwards is going to be the same, I'd rather go for a 40 unit or something that is going to be really, really cheap on a smaller side that gives me more advantage to come in and make a bigger impact. All right. So let me just give you guys some examples really quick. We was looking at Phoenix. Here's a property here, a 27 unit, saying a 5% cap rate. Here's a broker. And here's some preliminary details about it. And if you click on the flyer, you can come in here and kind of just get the preliminary details. All right. Now, what I would do next is I would go to my broker script. And this is one of the scripts that was provided by Peter. And I would literally just go through these questions because I have a topic to talk about, right? I have a property. So I'll be calling into the broker and just going through this script with them. Okay. And then these are questions, if the conversation leads me to it, I will ask the broker. This is a hint, clue right here, guys. Okay, if you do this, this will definitely set you apart. I promise you, everyone else is not doing this. I will ask them, hey, are you currently investing in multifamily yourself? You will be surprised. There's a lot of brokers who will forego their fee and put it right into the property that the new buyer is buying so that they can make money off of it too. They will invest in those deals. Why not ask if that multifamily broker would become your private money lender? That's a smart thing to do. Another thing is, hey, are you looking to buy, any multifamily deals yourself? They may be looking to buy into a deal, but maybe don't have the time and would love to partner with somebody who does. It's a great opportunity for you, right? Other thing that you want to do is, what do you do and what is your specialty? We heard Peter talk about that. Like, what's your thing? Like, what are you known for, right? And if they ask, well, why do you want to know that? It's because, hey, listen, I am in the business of providing value in all of my relationships. And you just sound like someone I want to build a relationship with. I want to make money with you. I want to be able to see how far we can take this, but I don't want it to be one-sided. So how can I bring value to you? What is it that you need right now? What's your biggest pain that you need solved right now? And let me see if me, through my network, I can be that solve for you. I promise you, if you end your calls with these 4 questions right here, you immediately get to the top of that broker's list as a person that they want to be able to connect with. All right, so those are the 4 things. I think next week what we're going to do is we're going to go over questions and objections that brokers give. And we will, let me scroll down for you guys. Yeah, I do one even better for you. I'm going to share it with you. All right, so there you go. I'm about to share it in the chat. And if you're on social media and you want it, just shoot me a message on Facebook or IG, and I will send you it as well. All right, so there you go. So next week, that's what we'll go over. We'll start the call. We'll get things moving, get everybody mindset right where we need to be, right? So we can kick ass for the week. It's Mondays. That's why we do it on Mondays. It's called Broker Talk Mondays. All right. And then what we'll do is we'll make sure that everybody knows exactly what's supposed to be happening. And then we'll jump straight into the questions and objections that some people are more than likely going to get and when we get some help with. All right. So with that being said, I think we kind of went over everything. Melissa, I did get your message. Sorry, my dog is going batshit crazy right now. Somebody just came to the door. So Melissa, I did get your, I got your message. I'm gonna put my email in the chat for you, Melissa. Could you go ahead and
Okay,
send that
thank
over?
you. That'll be great. Thank you, Eddie.
Yeah, send that over to me, and then I'll take a look at it, and make sure your phone number is in there too.
Okay,
I saw the message right now. Yeah. Just, in fact, just copy and paste that message and then put the rest of the details in the email.
okay,
All right, that way I can have your phone number so I can give you a call back.
alrighty.
All right?
Thank you.
All right, so with that being said, I love you all. Be great, stay charged up, go out here, kick it. Don't let fear hold you back, but instead allow the fear of you not becoming the success that you know you are meant to be, push you forward. With that being said, Peter, do you have anything you want to add? The COVID peace side. We love you guys. Stay tuned next week, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and look out for all of our social media postings. We'll exactly put the next call, which will be this Wednesday, 8 p.m. You'll see the link for it, but you'll also be able to chime in on YouTube. Have a good one, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.